Hello guys, Uncle Sam here. If you have not watched part 1 and part 2 of this story, do well to watch it. It will help you get more understanding of this part 3. Let's get into the story. Mr. James said, "My wife said she already likes you, so you can start immediately. I will show you your room. By the way, what is your name?" The young lady said, "My name is Chausiku." Her eyes started glowing blue light. Later that night, around 12 a.m., Mr. James and his wife Joey were sleeping. Their son was sleeping alone in his room. A heavy rain was falling and the wind was blowing heavily, and after a while, the baby's room door opened, a glimpse of light shining from the door into the dark baby's room. Chausiku went to the baby who was lying peacefully sleeping, and tried to initiate the baby, but a small bright light came out from the child, preventing her from touching the child. She tried severally, but the bright light kept her away from the child. Then she brought out a knife. As she raised it up and stabbed the child, Joey shouted and woke up. It was a bad dream. Her husband James woke up and tried to console her, telling her she just had a bad dream. He asked her, "Is it the same dream you have been having lately?" Joey said, "No, this one is different," she said, in a shaky voice. Immediately Joey shouted, "My baby! My son!" She ran from their bedroom into her son's room and found the child sleeping peacefully. She went and opened the room where Chausiku was sleeping and found her sleeping. As she closed the door, Chausiku opened her eyes. It was glowing bright blue light. The next day in Masinji village, Mr. Amoni and his daughter Lulu, Dada and Osoro were sitting at the shrine with the chief priest. "I heard all that happened last night, and I have a feeling that my family are not safe," Mr. Amoni said, looking very worried. The chief priest said, "Well, I need all of you to know the truth. I have not slept since after what happened at the river last night. I have been busy, trying to find out the whole thing about that young girl, Chausiku," he said in a tired voice. Chausiku was not an ordinary girl, but she is not a witch. Chausiku and her mother came from Umari village. All of them were shocked. "Umari?" Dada shouted, "Are they not the village known for magic and powers?" The chief priest nodded, "Yes, they are. In our entire kingdom, the Umari people deal more with spiritual powers. They have the highest and most powerful chief priest in the entire kingdom. They are known for spiritual battles, so nothing fetish is a mystery to them." Osoro said, "But why did Chausiku and her mother come all the way to live in Masinji village? Knowing that around here, witches or anything that has spiritual powers is like an abomination." The chief priest said, "I consulted all night, trying to find that answer, and this is what I found out." He cleared his throat and said, "In Umari village, every clan have a spiritual head representing them. They are the chief priests that guard the affairs of every clan and family. Chausiku's mother was chosen to be the next chief priest in their clan, in Umari village. Anybody that is bestowed with that opportunity will not marry, or have anything to do with the opposite sex. If it is a man, he will sleep with 7 women in 7 days, and that will be the end of him having anything to do with sex, till he dies. He will represent the oracle of their clan, and each representative who are chosen as chief priest must be holy, once the powers come on them. So as Chausiku's mother was chosen, she was to sleep with 7 men in 7 days, and after that, she will complete the rituals and take her place as the chief priestess of their clan, in Umari village." But Chausiku's mother was already in love with a man. She did not want to become the chief priestess of her clan, so she made love to her boyfriend and fell pregnant, which broke the rules of her being the next chief priest or priestess of her clan. She thought she would escape easily as she has fallen pregnant. Maybe someone else might be chosen, but on the night of her delivery, immediately Chausiku was born. Her boyfriend, Chausiku's father, started choking, gasping for air, vomiting blood till he died. And the gods of their clan chose Chausiku from birth to take her mother's place, as the next to represent their clan in Umori village. But Chausiku's mother did not know. She named her daughter Chausiku, because she was born at night, and that is the meaning of the name, Chausiku. 7 years later, the clan elders came to Chausiku's mother and told her, "Your daughter will take your place as the next chief priest, to represent our clan." Chausiku's mother was very unhappy with the news. She wanted a better life for her daughter, and seeing that Chausiku was good in mathematics, Chausiku's mother felt her daughter deserves better than being a chief priest, wasting her life and her destiny. And also, they will need to bring 7 men to sleep with Chausiku, at her young age, before they can complete her initiation for her to become the next chief priest of their clan. So, 2 days before the initiation day, Chausiku's mother, wanting the best life for her daughter, took Chausiku and ran away from Umori village and came to live in Masinji. She chose Masinji because she knows that the people of Mariri and Masinji and all the neighboring villages here does not like spiritual things, so she lived here in Masinji, thinking she could save some money and put her daughter to school, or eventually take her to the big city. But Chausiku's life was cut short by the same thing her mother ran from. If Chausiku had become a chief priest, there was no way anybody could kill her the way she died, so Chausiku's mother blamed herself. The night Chausiku was burnt, her mother came and took some of the ashes from the fire and went and pleaded with the river goddess that she wants revenge for the death of her daughter, who she has sacrificed her life to protect. She was told it would take 5 years before the vengeance will start, and it has been 5 years since her death. That was how the spirit rose to fight everybody who took part in Chausiku's death. Mr. Amoni asked, "So where is Chausiku's mother now? Can we go and beg her to have mercy on us? A lot of people have died already." The chief priest was quiet for a while, then he said, "She has gone back to her village. The reason she ran away was over, so if we have to go and plead with her, we need to go to Umori village to look for her. But the problem is, I cannot go with you inside that village, because of the kind of powers that operate there. They will all attack me, being an outsiders, coming with powers that are not known in their land. And if I don't go with you, all of you might die on the way, because Chausiku will keep attacking you before you get there, and you might not get to Umori alive. And if I decide to go and wait outside the village, Chausiku's mother might kill you herself, because from what I can see, she paid a heavy price to finally accept her calling as the chief priest of her clan." Dada said, "So what do we do now?" The chief priest said, with an assuring voice, "I believe we can go to the river and plead with the river goddess to try and appease her. We should get the result we need from there, because Umori village will not be easy for any of us to get in, knowing the kind of people they are." Mr. Amoni said, "It is fine. Can we go immediately and see what we can do? We don't know who Chausiku might attack next." The chief priest said, "It is fine, we can go right away." While in the city, that morning, Mr. James was getting ready for work, and Joy, his wife, was sitting on the bed holding their son. She said to her husband, "Baby, I don't think I still want this house help to stay. I don't have good feelings about her anymore. I would like her to leave." Mr. James was surprised to hear what his wife Joy just said. He turned to her and said, "We just employed her yesterday. What do you mean you don't want her anymore? Where do we find another house help right now? Because you also have things to do, or are you going to sit and look after the child? Joey said, no baby, you know I have things to do, it's just that the dream I had last night was not good at all. Mr. James looked at his wife confused. He said, you have been having strange dreams for over 2 months now. What does the dream have to do with this help? Well, let's do this. We need to give her this week and watch her closely. If we notice anything out of place, she is gone. That, I can promise you, but we cannot send her away because of dreams. Joey agreed. Mr. James took the baby from his wife Joey and came with him to the living room. As he sat down in the living room, Chausiku came and said to him, good morning, sir. Please, your breakfast is ready. Mr. James smiled and said, thank you. As Chausiku turned to leave, she turned back like she forgot something and said to Mr. James, sir, please, what is that black thing tied on the baby's hand? Mr. James smiled and said, it is for protections against any evil that want to harm the child. Don't mind me, I am a traditional man, so my mother gave it to me to use and protect my son. And I have to use it. I don't know if it works, but anything to make my mother happy, I do. I am mommy's boy, he smiled. Chausiku smiled and said, okay sir, it is nice. Then she walked away looking very angry. Back in the village, the chief priest and Dada, Osoro, Mr. Amoni were standing at the river bank, while Lulu waited inside the car. The chief priest was in front, praying and pleading with the river goddess to listen to them and tell them what they need to do for them to gain forgiveness for the death of Chausiku. After a while the river goddess appeared. She said, I cannot help you. It took blood and 5 years for this revenge to be activated. You men are late. The chief priest said, is there nothing we can do? A lot of people have died already. The river goddess said, and more will die. There are still people from Mariri village who are part of the death of the little innocent Chausiku, so more people will die. The chief priest pleaded, saying, what can we do? The water goddess said to him, go and plead with the woman that set the vengeance in motion. She is the only person that can appease me and make the vengeful spirit of her daughter stop. She had 5 years to change her mind, and she did not, so it was sealed with the ashes of her daughter Chausiku and her blood. So go. Go to her and she will be the one to put an end to it. Then she vanished. As they stood there confused, Chausiku appeared looking at them in anger. She said, you want to stop me from killing those that killed me? She screamed in a loud voice. Thunder came out and hit the chief priest and he died instantly. Mr. Amoni, Dada and Osoro ran for their lives. Mr. Amoni got into his car and drove out in a hurry. Lulu asked her father what happened. He said, we are going straight to the city now. Lulu said, so what about your projects here in the village? Mr. Amoni said, it is a man that is alive, that looks after projects. We need to get to the pastor right now. While in the city, Joy went to see a spiritualist to explain the dream she had last night. As the man saw her, he told her, go home. Your house is on fire. That girl you welcomed into your home yesterday is not who she said she is. You need to go home right now or else your family will die. The man gave her 2 necklaces and said, wear this on your neck. As you get home, put this one on the neck of your husband. Your child is already protected. Then you guys can come back to me. We will deal with the situation together from here. Joey was confused. She said, I have not even told you why I am here. The man said, I know why you are here, but any minute you waste here, it might be too late. As she stood up to leave, her phone rings. She quickly took out her phone and answered the call. It was a lady's voice on the other side of the call. The lady said, "Hello, am I speaking to Mrs. Joy?" Joy responded, "Yes, how can I help you?" The lady said, "We are from the agency you contacted that you needed a maid. I have someone that is suited for the position. We want to know if we can send her over today and what time is suitable for you." Joy's eyes was filled with fear. She said, "But someone came yesterday from your company." The lady said, "We didn't send anyone yet, ma'am, unless you contacted other agencies." Joy dropped the call. She said to herself, "So who is the lady in my house?" Her hand was shaking. She quickly ran to her car and drove off, as fast as she could. At Joy's house, Chausiku had tried all she could to get the black rope off the baby's hand so she could initiate him, but she could not, due to the powers on the rope. As she stood there, her eyes started glowing. She became angry. As she was looking at the child in anger, Mr. James, who was not feeling too well, came back from work early. As he entered the house, he was surprised to see Chausiku standing over the baby, looking different with her eyes glowing, wind blowing only inside the house. He quickly rushed and grabbed his son. Suddenly, Chausiku's hair immediately turned to dreadlocks, her eyes glowing even more. As she looked very angry, the whole house started shaking. Mr. James was carrying the child looking scared. Chausiku pointed at him and said, "I am here to take my pound of flesh. Your wife killed me 5 years ago. It is my turn to return the favor." She started laughing. Mr. James managed to get out of the house and got into his car with his son, but the car could not start. As he was trying to start the car, Chausiku appeared in front of the car. While Joy, who was driving home as fast as she could, took her phone and called her husband. The phone rang severally and the husband picked the call and shouted, "Baby, Chausiku is not a human. She is trying to kill us. Please call the police." And the call ended. Joy said, "Chausiku." Her heart skipped, but she said her name is Choice. Then it dawned on her, it is the same name. She said, "Can it really be?" Tears dropped from her eyes as she drove. Mr. James was in the car with his son, trying to call the police as Chausiku stood in front of the car with her eyes glowing. She said, "Just like I was burnt alive, today, you and your son would die the same way I died." From nowhere the car caught fire. Mr. James was inside screaming, trying to open the door of the car. Smoke filled the car and the fire covered it. Chausiku laughed and vanished. Meanwhile, Mr. Amoni and Lulu were sitting inside church with Pastor Maxwell. The pastor said to them, "My brother Amoni, you left the city to find peace and try and rebuild your marriage, but I see things have fallen apart since you left, than when you were in the city, even to the part that your wife Joy left and remarried, and nobody cared to tell me." Mr. Amoni said, "Pastor, we are both human, we all make mistakes. I have made a lot of mistakes, but we really need God right now." Pastor Maxwell then said, "From what the Lord is showing me, the little Chausiku that died many years ago and this Chausiku that is back, killing people are not the same. The little Chausiku that died many years ago is a peaceful, loving girl. It's unfortunate the way she died, but this spirit that is taking vengeance is not the same Chausiku. The little girl that died, if she was the one, she will still retain her body size as a little girl. Spirits don't grow up or grow old. They retain the same size as they were or have always been, but I see the heart of an angry mother, who went and made a deal with the water spirit, using something that belongs to her daughter. That is how this Chausiku came to be. Let's pray." As he opened his mouth and said, "In Jesus' name," he paused for a while and said, "Mr. Amoni, your wife Joy is about to die. We need to go to her house now. Do you know where she lives?" Mr. Amoni said, "Yes, she sent me the address." They quickly rushed out of the church. As they got to Joey's house and came in, they found a car burning in the compound. Mr. Amoni ran into the house and found Joey passed out on the sofa. The house was set on fire. He quickly carried Joey and came outside the house to meet with Lulu and the pastor. Chausiku appeared, looking very angry. She shouted, "She has to die." Pastor Maxwell started praying, saying, "I bind you water spirit in the name of Jesus." Chausiku stood there shouting and manifesting. After a while, the young Chausiku appeared, standing next to the grown Chausiku. The young girl looked at the old Chausiku, who looked angry and filled with rage, and said to her, "You have done enough." Then the old Chausiku vanished. The real Chausiku smiled, looking at Lulu. Then she said, "I did not allow her hurt you. You were the only friend I had in Masinji village. I will miss you." Then she vanished. 2 days later, Joey woke up in the hospital. She cried bitterly for losing her husband and her son. After a week, then she was discharged. She spent some time with her daughter Lulu, and Lulu went back to Mariri village. 3 months later, Mr. Amoni and her daughter Lulu were in the living room when they heard a knock at the door. As Lulu opened, her mother Joey came in. Mr. Amoni stood up, surprised to see her. He asked her, "What are you doing here?" Joey said, "I have come back home. I am not going anywhere again. Please forgive me." They all hugged. Story ends. Moral of this story: no matter how angry you get, don't take a life as your means of solution, because one single act of evil or wickedness can cause you to lose everything. I remain Uncle Sam. Stay safe.